Oh, hi, you're here. Yeah, not going to work today. I hope you're all keeping well. It's a spectacular, beautiful, magical, energy infused day here in the west of our northwest of Ireland. I hope you're all feeling very well and you're all attaining your dharma in life and you've got a ley line running between your ass cheeks and things are going well for you. This positive vibe continues. It's definitely a real thing. Definitely a real thing. A lot of tourists around now. They've really started now come back in droves, particularly in the last couple of weeks. Notice a lot of Italian families. You never got really Italian families in Ireland before, not this part of Ireland. You get a lot of Italian single young women travelling by themselves. Take note, young Irishmen. Italian beauties descend upon our land during the summer, and those girls usually travel alone or with a friend, with their girlfriends. But that's if you met an Italian tourist in Ireland, in this part of Ireland, it's nearly always a woman in her early 20s traveling alone or with a friend. But now I'm starting to see families, mama, papa, and the kids, and it's lovely to see. And I was talking to a lovely family from Rome this morning. The Italians are very decent people. They're very decent, good-natured people. There's a lot of humanity in them. I'm very fond of Italian people as a race, and which is weird because when I lived in America, this will be a teapot one. Get your teapot ready. Get your teapot. I should have like a little icon flashing. Put the kettle on. Put the kettle on. Put the kettle on. Or have like a kind of a Tom Jones. You can put your kettle on, baby. Put the kettle on. Yeah, that's where I should start my videos from now on, right? With like a little icon going, put the kettle on. Put a little picture of a kettle flashing, right? And all the fucking women sliding off their seats and their knickers getting wet. Did that sound sexist? Yes, it did. Why? Because it was meant to. Now, yeah, but Italian people are very decent kind. I'm quite fond of Italian people and Italy, and there's a lot of they're good natured people. There's a lot of compassion and kindness in them. You read stories and hear stories of during World War II in areas occupied by Italian troops like Yugoslavia and Greece, where the Italian troops used to have their photographs taken or kiss babies belonging to locals, and then show the locals their photographs of their babies back in Italy. And that's just like there's a real humanity there that I've always kind of really admired in the average Italian that they've never lost. Makes you wonder about the rock, the Vatican, and all that. Well, that's not Italian, is it really? But it makes you wonder. It's always the same thing, isn't it? It's like Ireland, isn't it? Like it's like the places with the places or America, right? The places with are now Canada. The places with the nicest people always get the biggest dickheads, ruining it for them. But that's life, isn't it? I guess that's why it happens because they're nice people, so they get taken advantage of because they don't have that inherent nastiness. I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid theory. I don't know. It just popped into my head. But yeah, it's a wonderful day here today. I was just talking to a lady. She's come back from Achill Island. Achill Island is Ireland's largest island. It's just off the west coast of Mayo, and you can actually there's a bridge goes over to the island, so you don't have to take a ferry any. You can actually drive or walk or cycle onto the island, or get public transport, and it's like Achill Island these days is like you think you're in the Bahamas or something. It's like a tropical paradise with beaches and during the winter weather's like this, and it's lovely houses and really nice place to go and hang out. And it's amazing to think that it used to be very impoverished at one time. It used to be like it's hard to believe like when you go around Achill Island now, you think that and you got that it has that island vibe. You're kind of instantly relaxed, but it's hard to believe that the terrible poverty that once existed there, and that lots of people from Achill Island, right up until say the 19 to World War II, maybe a little after, traditionally emigrated to the north of England, like places like Preston. Neil MacDonald's from the Mysterious Airs Conference and the tourists. You should go. You're coming. Remember, you're coming to see me. Coming to see us in September. His family came from Achill Island, so that was very common. There was just so much poverty. They literally, they had like literally, whatever they couldn't do fishing that well because you have to listen. This is the thing. This will amaze you, and it's true. You can actually check this. Lots of people said, "How come during the Irish famine you were surrounded by these salmon-filled rivers and ocean-filled fish, and people still starved?" Well, there's a reason for that. Just prior to the famine, it was forbidden for Catholics to own land at the coast or along rivers. Did you know that? So Irish peasantry were literally not able to buy, own, purchase, or inherit land within 3 miles of the coast or along salmon rivers. They'd be sentenced to death, in fact, if they tried to catch a salmon or a fish. So therefore, the whole generations that grew up on fishing were wiped out. And you can't suddenly, when in the middle of a famine, when you don't have boats and nets and a fishing culture anymore, because it's been removed from you by the King of England. You can't suddenly begin fishing again. You just can't, and that's why people, I get smug people, particularly in America, say to me, "How come you didn't fish during the famine?" Well, what you fucking hands, and they eventually they did actually get when they were at the beaches. They actually did eat vast amounts of shellfish. This is why you find these enormous shell middens all along the west coast of Ireland. They literally ate everything out of sea that they could get without boats. So they did do their best. They did eat from the sea when they could, but they couldn't. They literally didn't have the money to fucking to pay for shoes. How did they want to pay for a fishing boat and nets? But anyway, that's another issue. And also, Achill Island is where the term, that's why there was so much poverty on Achill Island. Also, the term boycott comes from Achill Island. There was an English landlord called Boycott, and the Irish tenant farmers refused to pay their rent, and they boycotted him, and that's where the term came from. But yeah, I mean, that's not anti-English rant or anything. I mean, it wasn't ordinary English people that did this. It was the aristocrats and that lot protected by the Magna Carta, and the that's why this was terrible. You go to Achill today. I mean, even west of Orange. I'm looking down this. I mean, I'm looking down this alleyway where I'm working, and there's a boat at the end. I mean, if you had have come to our, I mean, let's check this out. I don't know if you can see that, but I thought I'd make a great painting. You see the fishing boat down the end of the lane, little cruiser. I mean, Ireland has changed so much, but for the better. That's the reason for when English people say, British people say, why did Ireland leave the Union? Because we're now one of the richest countries in the world. Dublin would be no more important than Scunthorpe or Aberdeen if we were still in the UK. And now you look at Dublin today, it's like a major international financial and tech centre, and it's considered one of the coolest cities in the world. Blah blah blah. And that's why this is why I'm an anti-globalist, because small nations can take care of their own destiny. Yes, we've been suckered in and improved. I mean, if Ireland was under, you go through parts of Britain and it's still pretty grim. I've seen poverty and I've seen rundown neighbourhoods in British cities that we haven't seen in Ireland since the 70s or 80s. Even around places like Liverpool, there's still parts of Liverpool, and Liverpool has come along in spades. It's a wonderful, beautiful place now. But there's still parts of Liverpool around Anfield that look like parts of Ireland back in the 1970s, the rundown and stuff like that. So that's why I'm anti-globalist, because if you have local government, you can actually address local problems and not have people 1,000 miles away making decisions on your behalf. And you'll see this echoed all over the world. Anyway, how did I get to that? I don't know, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like a religion. If your religion is your own religion, it can address the concerns more effectively than it's a foreign religion. This is why, look, I don't care what religion you worship. That's your own business. And it's much better that you have a spiritual aspect to your nature than being an atheist. Because you just go, all you do is, you're an atheist, all you do is you go to worship mega church pastors like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is, like someone said recently, is a mega church pastor for atheists. but they all end up religious in a different kind of way, like the needlecraft. You know, that became a sacred sacrament for them. But I still find some fucking asshole insulted me when I came back on Facebook yesterday, called me a wanker or something, and I went to his page, and his pictures of the Irish flag with the Holy Trinity in the middle, and it's like, you're about as Irish. You're no more Irish than these than anyone coming here. You know, in fact, I would say that many people coming here from overseas are probably closer to Irish than you'll ever be. If you put Catholicism at the center of your Irishness, you're absolutely not Irish. In culturally, you're just not. Well, spiritually, that's all Judaism from the Middle East, with that's been kind of constituted within Rome, using pagan feast days and stuff. But to actually say, when I hear people say Catholicism is the true faith of Ireland, that's like saying London is the true capital of Ireland. I mean, these people. Oh, I'm an Irish Catholic patriot. Oh, really? I'm an Irish British patriot. That's the oxymorons. They're unbelievable. You have your own gods and your own spiritual traditions. And it's not as alien as you think it is. You've got Breed, St. Bridget. It's the easiest thing to venerate that without having to like jump the whole hog in. But I have to laugh at that shit. It's like, what? You know, and that they don't even know their own history. It's like Ireland, the true fate of Ireland is Catholicism, you know. Okay, motherfuckers. If you're going to be that condescending, it was Pope Adrian who handed the Pope in the Vatican, who handed Ireland over to the English crown. What kind of psychiatric gymnastics must you undertake in order to justify that one? Answer, you fucking can't. This is what makes me sick with these fuckers. I mean, if they're Catholic, good luck to them. That's great. If they're Protestant, Muslim, and Jewish, anything, that's your own business. Good luck to you. But to actually imply this incredibly foreign, incredibly alien religion is a fundamental aspect of Irishness is the greatest load of absolute bollocks on the face of the earth. It is so loaded with contradictions to the point where, are you even Irish if you consider that to be the case? You're not. I mean, it's like saying I celebrate my Irishness by, listening to the Queen's speech at Christmas and waving a Union Jack. I celebrate my Irishness by being a Roman Catholic. Same fucking thing. But they don't have, you see, the normie brain, and as normies, there's the biggest, you see, NPCs are as common in the alt scene as the truth scene, we're going to fucking call it, as they are in normie land. They're just a different kind of NPC. But they're still NPCs because they're programmed. They can't think, and when they hear a new, like I guarantee there's thousands of them watching this video now going, "Share the world," this kind of thing, doing the Trigglypuff thing, and because I took their Jewish religion away from their Irishness. It's the truth, folks. But again, like I said, if you want to be a Catholic and you're Irish, good luck to you. But don't be telling me that's the fundamental part of being Irish. It isn't. It isn't. It's just like the way the Sinn Féiners tried to make out that, Cú Chulainn was in the IRA Army Council. The republicanism is no more ancient in Ireland than, in fact, Freemasonry and the Orange Order and things like that are just as Irish in the terms of their longevity as republicanism. Ireland existed for 6,000 years as a society before republicanism ever came along. But these people think that somehow being Irish and being a republican is the same thing. Is it now? Also, where did republicans come from? Where did the idea of the republic come from? Jeopardy music. Do 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 do. Rome. Yes. What part of Rome? Do 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 do. Pagan Rome. Yes. You are a mountain of motherfucking contradictions. only because you didn't stop and re-examine everything you believe in. This is the path to knowledge and enlightenment. You might think 666 satanic tick tick tick. They don't even know what 666 means. 666 only means the accumulation of wealth in Kabbalism, and it refers to banking. That's all. It's satanic. No, this kind of shy. No, you have so much to learn, my truth friends, and I'm here to help you. But you attack me when I try to help you. I don't understand it. Uncle Thomas, think of Uncle Thomas. This would be a great idea. Uncle Thomas Werther's original ads. Those Werther's original sweets? It's always like, the patriarch of it. When they used to advertise that, it'd be like the dad or the granddad or the uncle. And Junior would come over and he goes, I enjoyed Werther's original when I was a boy. And now my nephew or grandson does too. Well, think of me in the Werther's original ad, except I'd have two foxy chicks sitting on either side of me, right? But I'm still wearing the jumper, the sweater, and I'm going, the fire burning. When I was a lad, well, think of me as like the alternative version of a Werther's original ad, bringing the knowledge to the young people, but they don't want to they don't want to accept it. Don't want to accept it. And inhibitors, isn't it? It's all about inhibitors. Inhibitions. It's, I can totally get where people could say, yeah, there's the actual popular parable of Jesus. It's kind of Gandhi like. It's kind of preaches peace and tolerance. And although he didn't do that, I mean, he in the Gospels he called a pagan woman a dog and a child a dog. So, but it's like the Muslims and the people of the books. Yeah, people of the books is Abrahamic religions. If you're not an Abrahamic like a Hindu or a pagan, you're fair game to be beheaded. But it's should we say exclusive prejudice? That's a good way to put it. But yeah, I mean, I totally get like the popular sort of like Hollywood image of Jesus Christ as being like this guy is going around saying to people, be nice to each other and all this stuff, and but he was really talking about Jews. But let's say we're applying that, Jesus Christ only cared about Jews. He didn't care about and the world as a whole. But anyway, if he existed, which he didn't. But anyway, it even said in one of the Gospels, "My mission is for the people of Israel alone." But anyway, but yeah, I can totally get the archetype. It's very appealing. Absolutely, big deal. It's like Gandhi. Gandhi's very appealing. That kind of like hippie thing going on. Well, it comes from Dionysius, doesn't it? Like, I mean, the image of Jesus comes directly from the pagan Dionysian cults, and that's exactly why you have that Dionysian look emulated by rock stars. And even though Che Guevara is famous only because that picture makes him look like Jesus, and also makes him look like Jim Morrison, that's called the Dionysian look, the long wavy hair and the beard. That's in Passarelli's The Gospel of St. Matthew, an Italian neo-surrealist film that with very communist overtones. He portrays Jesus in that extremely Dionysian way, and it's like a Che Guevarian type thing. But very interesting. Those Italian sort of like art house cinema films from the 60s are very interesting, the way they portrayed religion. I remember seeing how they showed Palestine or Israel in 1 BC or 33 BC in those films, and it was like Sicily. They used Sicily in places like that, and it looked very realistic. But before that, you got Hollywood vision, like the King of Kings Hollywood versions of how Jesus and the Holy Land, unholy land looked. But yeah, I totally get all that. I totally get all, but don't be telling me it's Irish. And also, it's Dionysian anyway. Everything's pagan. I mean, that's why the reason why there's pine cones all over the Vatican is that's they're all sculptures left over from Dionysian worship. Dionysus was the sort of like the the god archetype of the rock star. And that's why, that's why like people the likes of Russell Brand deliberately cultivates that Dionysian look to fool his new age idiot followers, and Che Guevara, Jim Morris, that look, long hair, sort of like Cat Stevens had that look big time. When Cat Stevens was a star back in the day in the 70s, he had that Dionysian look nailed down perfectly. Al Pacino in the movie Serpico, bang on Dionysian look. And so that's what that is. Jesus' looks is a Dionysian look. And he would have in reality looked like, you know, sort of very Jewish, Woody, Dustin Hoffman, Woody Allen. In reality, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that's how he would have been. He would have had very Jewish mannerisms and stuff like that. Possibly, he wouldn't have looked like you know, a Dionysian. That was totally brought up much later by the Catholic Church as it merged all kinds of pagan archetypes into Christianity in order to stop itself from suffocating and dying. And that's another reason, and another reason to thank pagans. Not only did they give you Irish Catholic Republicans, your Catholicism and your republicanism, but they also gave you everything else. So you'd be nice to pagans. Could you? I have to laugh at that. Could you imagine an Irish Republican if paganism and paganism didn't exist? They'd be all like dressed like rabbis, going around going, I go fuck to the UVF. Oh, God help me. That's what it'd be like. This would be what to be like in West Belfast. To be going, oh, oh, God help me. We need parity esteem. Oh, she schmucks again. That's what they would be like. So at least we pagans gave you the ability to be European in that sense. So isn't history interesting? But these, inhibitors. I'm starting to sound like I'm looking at the Christopher Walken again. And the inhibitor, you got the pagan, you got the Christ, fellas, you got the pagans, you got the Jews, you got the pagan, fellas. Listen to me, you got anyway, and don't take life too seriously, and inhibitors, yeah, the inhibition, it's the most difficult thing to take someone who's been raised with something that they've truly been told from all their lives is infallible, and to suddenly find that it is. In that movie, The Music Box, who was that piece of ass? Jessica, a gorgeous looking actress back in the day. She probably still is. But it's about, she plays a Hungarian American lawyer who has the sort of like lovely sort of fairy tale notion of her ethnicity and on the old land, and it shows her at the beginning of the film going to like Hungarian folk dances, and she discovers what happens is her father's accused of being a Nazi collaborator that took part in the murder of Jews, and her job is to defend him. And it's a Jessica Lange, and it's that kind of story of discovery. And those of us who, when you go on these sort of unwanted journeys of discovery, unbelievably powerful. And she in the process of defending her father, she discovers that, and her father all along keeps telling her, I was not involved in any killing of Jews and gypsies, and I was not a collaborator with the Nazis, blah blah blah. And she believes him, and she's defending him passionately in court. And there's parts she finds out about how like Hungarians and helped the Nazis take Jewish people down to the river at the side of the Danube and shoot them. And she said until that point she never saw anything. She had nothing but pride in her being Hungarian. And of course, I won't tell you the end of the film, but it's really quite intense. But The Music Box, yeah, it's Jessica Lange, gorgeous, fucking gorgeous actress, but good actress too. But check out that movie; it's excellent. But it's about that. It's about like taking what you hold dear, and And this applies to all kinds of things in life, and then accepting that it's crap, or it's a lie, or it's not what it says it is, or it's full of distortions, and when examined outside the context of what you've been brought into, becomes a very painful, but it's a liberating thing. It's part of the hero's journey, and but my God, to take the average person across that line is so difficult, because what they're really doing to them is saying, you're really asking these people a question: who are you? Who are you? And that's a question they've never really considered in their lives. Why do you believe or hold dear the things you do? And it brings me back to like what I said at the beginning about the Italians, soldiers in places like Yugoslavia and Greece, when they would uh, stop women that had little kids and babies, and then play with the kids or cuddle them, and then show the women photographs of their own children back in Italy and get all emotional. That's who you really are. Not the Italian soldier in the uniform fighting for Mussolini's imperial objectives. Not a conqueror of a land, a strange land and a foreign people. What you really are is the man who shows the photographs of his own baby to a foreign lady in a land his army has conquered. That's the real humanity. That's. I think it was that Constantana, my friend in Australia. I think her grandmother told her that story of Italian troops in Italy, and it always stuck with me. It always stuck with me, that story. It's a beautiful story, but and not uncommon. I've read about it in other books and stuff like that. And that's the real thing. That's the real thing. And that's what you really are, is what makes you what you are. And but when you have assumptions built on exterior labels and badges, my Jesus, it's an awful thing. Especially if you put so much effort into fortifying and sort of like holding tight to you this image of yourself and what you think you represent. It's, especially if all the sort of like energy, both psychic, emotional, and physical, and labor that you put into that to maintain this image of what you are. It's, you're not going to suddenly say overnight, oh well, this is all bollocks, but that could be that's the thing that could liberate you. Or it's mostly bollocks, but I'm okay with it. That's probably a really healthy attitude. Yeah, I know this Christianity thing is a load of bollocks, but I kind of like the idea of Jesus, so I'm okay with that. That's probably the healthy way of like looking at it. And I think we all in life sort of seek to achieve states like that. But you have to understand, like, the average normie carries within them a level of anxiety that is almost unfathomable. I mean, I never had it super bad, but I had it like in times in my life until I was about 36, when I said, this is all bullshit and true in the towel. I played the game completely and did quite well in life from it, in like a normie kind of employment world. And then I said, so I don't do this anymore. Because, and the reason why was anxiety. You would go to bed worried about something that happened at work, or something you didn't finish, or did I do that properly, or did I offend that person that when I really didn't mean to? This kind of thing. You go through all this shite, and but in normie land, that reaches levels of paralyzing terror. The average normie goes to bed at night, literally in a state of paralyzing, convulsive internal turmoil, that they didn't achieve what was expected of them from their peers during the day. They want so much to fit in. It is everything to them that if in their mind, if there's one small perceived transgression against the protocols of their respected culture, society, they will be torn asunder psychically by it. They don't fall asleep because they're tired from their labors. They fall asleep because they're exhausted from their paralyzing anxiety. and it is awful. But it's used as a social control mechanism because they put, was I an ideal normie today? Oh God, what the whole thing. I mean, the most powerful force in Ireland is what will the neighbours say about us? There's, we've had the Vikings here, we've had the Normans here, we've had the French here, the English here, we've had the British Empire here, but the most powerful force that the Irish have right now and is the colonial force of their own minds saying, what will the neighbours think? And this desperate need to fit in at any cost, to the point where they will get cancer, become alcoholics, or commit suicide because they don't fit in perfectly. Everything, every moment of every second of every day of their lives is fraught with this terrifying subcontextual but highly overt at the same level sense of pure paralyzing anxiety of terror, that they're not doing the right thing to fit in. Every second of every, so many of them are like, most of them are like that. And this is why when you have a situation where they see before their eyes all these young people who are dying from just after being needlecrafted of similar things, and when you try to say them, to even suggest to them that it's because of, is it because of the needlecraft, they go absolutely psychotic. They're not going psychotic because you're telling the truth. They're going psychotic because they're trying to maintain the protocols of their normie existence. And their normie existence has led them to follow suit and also get themselves foghorn leghorned, and boy, I say boy. And now they go to bed at night with a fleeting undercurrent of anxiety. Am I next? Am I the next one to be suddenly and unexpected? It's in there at a microscopic level for some of them. But for most of them, it's like, how dare you challenge the protocols of a culture and a society that I have lived in paralyzing terror of in order to fulfill or acquiesce to its mandates. And that's what you're really up against. And this exists for all kinds of people. But that, a lot of the time we're talking about things, and I going, so do you think, if you don't get, so do you think all these needlecrafts are related to all these young athletes dying? And you get the, huh? Uh, 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 uh. You're confronted then by, now, or how dare you dance on that young person's grave? And the only thing that could possibly bring them to that illogical level, that stratospheric level of illogical thinking, is paralyzing terrors of not being just like anyone else. And this is why, if you're an outsider, a maverick, you're left of centre, and I don't mean a political sense, that if you've broken the mold and moved away into be following your own dharma, not only will you be on the right side of history in most cases, but you'll also be a much happier person than the ones who actually destroy themselves upholding the protocols of something that doesn't give a shit about them at the end of the day. And it's not there to hold their hands when they're sweating in terror at the end of every night before they fall asleep. Both, both anticipation of the horrors that they face during the day, and also the transgressions that they may have undertaken on the previous day. Be thankful you're not a normie. Namaste. Long live the horn gods. Ave Lucifer. Eo Pan. Eo Athena. Hail Votan. And as Dave Allen said, even if you're a Christian or a Muslim, may your God go with you. You can take the kettle off.